everyone, and welcome to another episode of First Look, Final Word, the podcast where we take you along to see a movie with us. My name's Pete.
And I'm Trevor, and that was definitely our first take at that.
Yeah, you'd think I'd be able to get that right by now, but I guess not. I'll keep working on it.
All right, so today we're seeing the movie Challengers, and we're running a bit behind, so I'll just quickly read the synopsis here, and then we'll get going. Tennis player turned coach Tashi has taken her husband Art and transformed him into a world-famous Grand Slam champion. To jolt him out of his recent losing streak, she signs him up for a challenger event where he finds himself standing across the net from his former best friend and Tashi's former boyfriend.
Very interesting.
All right, so let's throw this car in reverse and get going.
Watch out for those kids.
Yeah, we did just hear some kids playing behind us. There's a bit of daylight still left here. That's kind of nice.
Yes, it's getting lighter, so.
Although, yeah, we're not leaving earlier than we were going to do.
So getting into challenges then, I was just thinking, it'd be nice if my wife would make me a world champion of something. I don't know what that would be though, not tennis, I'll tell you that much.
Running, right?
Running, yes, yeah. She is like running. But I would never be a champion in running. I don't even run for the bus.
Yeah. Well, you're quite tall. You're not like really built like a runner.
Yeah, I've never had to run. I can just stride.
Yeah.
Like the BFG, just striding about the place.
Yeah, those giants can move fast.
Hey, they don't have to. That's the whole point.
Yeah, so this movie's been on my radar for a little while. Like, it was originally slated for a 2023 release, but then it got pushed back because of the writer's strike.
Yeah, it's one of those casualties, right? There's a lot of movies that did that.
Yeah, because it was long, like, wrapped, but because, and I guess I should say actor's strike, not writer's strike, because, like, you have a movie starring Zendaya, ideally you would want her, like, kind of out publicizing the movie, right? It would be kind of suicide for the movie to not.
No, yeah, that's gonna real hurt if you can't wheel your stars out for sure.
Yeah, so I was looking up Luca Guadagnino's the director's filmography, and I saw that he has another movie slated to come out this year. I was like, well, that's a little strange, but then I remembered, oh yeah, this was supposed to be like an October release last year. Like, it was like conceivably like going to be an Oscar play last year.
It's not like Challengers Part 2, is it?
No, yeah, it's called Queer, and it stars Daniel Craig.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so should be interested. I'm quite looking forward to this one. I haven't read any reviews for this, but the buzz is pretty good.
I have not read any reviews or even really seen the buzz, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Did
I spoil that for you?
No, that's fine. I'm interested though. I did see a little bit of buzz, just basically saying it was good, but that was about it. Like I saw one thing I thought, so I just I purposely didn't look at anything else.
Are you a fan of Luca Guadagnino's films? Like, have you seen any before?
I don't think I have, no. Like, you remind me of what he's made and I might jog my memory.
Yeah, I hadn't seen any of his like early Italian films, but I saw Call Me By Your Name in 2017, which is like his breakout and Timothée Chalamet's breakout.
Yeah. And I have not seen that, by the way.
Oh, really? No,
never got around to watching that.
So you don't know what Timothy did to that peach?
I do not.
Well, you could probably imagine.
No, I'm definitely gonna watch it.
But like I like that movie, and I've seen his. I think he's done 2 other ones since then. Like he's done, he did Bones and All. I think 2022. Okay. Also with Timothée Chalamet, like the cannibal one.
Right. I didn't see that one either. But I did hear about that one.
And he did that remake of Suspiria with Dakota Johnson.
Right. Yeah, so I was right. I haven't seen any of these movies.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've just been on like his train since like 2017. I haven't seen any of his early stuff or anything.
Yeah. No, well, I'm gonna guess that I haven't seen any of his early stuff either. Yeah, so this is a weird one for me because, like I say, I haven't seen any of his movies before, and I was thinking about this today, I'm not really a big fan of sports movies in general.
Oh, interesting. Well, spoiler for our question later.
Yeah, I'm going to be poor showing for this week's question.
Yeah, well, like all of his movies are very, like, kind of erotic dramas, basically. Like, I think the sports part of this one seems to be downplayed a little bit. Like, it's
over a framing device. It's about relationships, really.
Yeah, so I don't know if people have seen the trailer, but there's an implication about a throuple
Yes.
in this movie.
Yeah, really all I saw in terms of the was around this movie. Well, at least running up to it was like that scene of Zendaya with the two guys there. So that's pretty much all I saw. People were expecting. I think people might be expecting some sort of
Yeah, like some sort of like
erotic three-way action going on, which
Yeah.
I'm not expecting. That's gonna
no,
be.
I'm not expecting that
I
either.
can't
But
imagine that.
like a throwback to like like late '80s, early '90s kind of like
Exactly. Yeah.
sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't really think that's where it's going. Although like Call Me by Your Name does get pretty
Oh yeah.
graphic. So
Okay.
you never know.
To give me some awkward times between us here tonight, Trevor.
Well, off mic, I'll tell you what he did to that peach. So,
Fair enough.
so for the question for this week, like we could have gone with like, what's your favorite movie about thruples or
Yes.
triangles or something, but
Three ways.
we decided to go a little more mainstream with it and ask, what are your favorite sports moments?
Yeah, keep it PG rated.
Yeah. Although, like, we have said things that are not that PG rated so far, so
Fair enough.
start now.
Yeah, well, that's already gone.
Yeah, I'll timestamp this section starting now, like as safe for children to listen to.
Yeah, first 5 minutes was earmuff territory.
Yeah. All right. So you said that you weren't that big of a sports film fan. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so I didn't think that was the case, but when we talked about this question, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll look up like what are like I found a list of like the 50 top sports movies ever made or whatever, and I was looking through, and I was like, yep, I've seen like 3 of these.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, and then I started thinking to myself, I was like, I guess that's true, and I think when I was trying to figure out why, and I think growing up in England,
I was gonna guess that. Yeah.
like obviously most popular sports movies are based around North American sports, and I just had no interest in that at all.
Yeah.
And like the only sport I'm really interested in is soccer. It's football. So
And that's a question I had for you coming in here. Is like, what is like
great soccer movie?
what is the great soccer movie that everyone in England watches?
There is none. That's
Yeah,
the,
I was
that's
like,
the
I was just
point.
like, Bend It Like Beckham is
Yeah,
the one that I can think
yeah,
of.
Bend It Like Beckham was one. There was one with Sean Bean in called When Saturday Comes. I remember liking that when I was younger, but that was just like
Is that a made-for-TV one?
that
or
was like
something, or-
when you're dying of thirst, any water will do type of thing. It's like, oh, it's actually a movie about football and it's got Sean Bean in it. Like, that's obviously going to be the best movie ever. But no, it's not.
Oh, well, it's interesting. That's probably why like Ted Lasso is scratching such an itch, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's hard to find that sweet spot. Like, that's why Ted Lasso did such a good job of mixing the
Yeah.
North American sensibilities in with that world, because it's never really been done before.
Well, and even like the soccer moments in that show are kind of few and far between.
Yeah, and it's honestly, and this is another thing I think with sports movies, it's hard to convey sports
Yes.
in a dramatic way
Well,
in a movie.
I was gonna say soccer in particular is not very cinematic.
No,
because
no, it's not at all. It's just
it's
people
just-
kicking ball running around.
well, it's like you're just like
Well, I think
sprinting for
I guess
60
that's
minutes.
my question though, because I feel like most, at least like ball sports with a ball, I think are not really inherently interesting to watch.
Mhm.
Like I guess like basketball movie stuff like that, where it's like, oh, he made the winning shot, like at the buzzer beater or whatever. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess like, but I mean, just them dribbling around is like, is that interesting?
Well, I would agree with you. The one caveat is I think baseball is very cinematic,
Right.
and that's because like the play stops all the time, and it's all just comes down to these very individual moments. It's
Right.
between the pitcher and it's between the batter and it's the guy catching it.
Well, and the same with like American football though, right? Like that's kind of a bit like that. Like you have the bits in between plays, and you have that winning Hail Mary play to win the big
Yeah,
game.
no, that's
like,
true.
You can kind of do that. It's set up in a way to be more dramatic, I guess.
I guess that's true too. Like, but then as I was going through my list and thinking about things to pick, I didn't really see like there were some football stuff on there, but nothing was like really kind of
Right.
like jumping out at me as something that, oh yeah, I love that moment from that.
What's good about football movies like Remember the Titans?
Well, yeah,
Is that one?
Remember the Titans? I think I was shown that movie in high school like 5 times in 5 different
That's
classes.
the last one with the big speech in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of, if I would pick something from Remember the Titans, it would be like one of the speeches by like Will Patton or by Denzel Washington.
Right, right.
Wouldn't be like any of the action necessarily.
Exactly, yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
But Yeah, I think I'm more high on sports movies than you are. Like I think they are like very much comfort watches.
Mhm.
Though as you know, like I do like lists of like my top 100
Yeah,
movies
yeah.
per decade. And I was looking through that, and I don't have like a ton of
Sports
sports
movies.
movies on there. So like I feel like I like sports movies, but they're not like always near the top of my list.
Yeah, I think like you're saying, it's more like a comfort watch, right? Because you know exactly what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
You know all the beats.
yeah.
You know what's gonna happen. You know they're gonna figure it out in the end.
Well, in preparation for this list, last night I watched Hosier's, which is the Gene
Oh
Hackman
right,
basketball movie,
yeah,
which was a long blind spot
right.
for me because I like always see people talking about how great that movie is.
Oh yeah, what was your opinion on that
I'm
one?
like, oh yeah, it's pretty good.
Basketball movie.
It's pretty good. That that movie, like I wish I kind of didn't know going into it that it had like some famous editing problems.
Oh, did
That
it?
they cut it down from 3 hours to 2 hours basically,
Oh,
and
wow,
uh
it's just hacked to
I
death.
don't know if I would have really noted like I think I would have picked up on that going in because like it does kind of just like jump from place to place and
Right, right.
some characters are just all of a sudden like assistant coaches and they didn't really explain what happened and they went from just having like 5 or 6 guys on the team to like there were like 8 guys when like that was like a big plot point that they didn't have any reserves. I'm like, oh, I'm sure there is a reason why there's a few more guys on the team now.
Interested.
But yeah, I was kind of looking for those good moments, and like there were a couple moments, but nothing that like kind of stood out to me to include on this list.
What about like obscure sports movies? Because like when people say sports movie, I feel like in my mind at least, they always go to the North America, like your football, your baseball, your basketball.
Well,
But like boxing, I think that's probably the only like if I was looking at movies I'd seen that I like, there'd be the boxing movies really that I'd pick out.
yeah. Well, and there were like a few kind of
And I'm not a boxing fan at all. But the movies I like.
yeah, boxing movies are fantastic. Um, yeah, there are a few like boxing and martial arts movies that
Karate Kid.
I was. Oh yeah, that's. And you know what? We didn't really talk about that in our fight.
No, we
Right?
didn't know. That's classic. That
So
train kick. Come on, then.
When we covered the Iron Claw,
Yes, that's
we
another
did
one, right? That's a
we did a best of what's our favorite movie fight scenes, and there were some boxing and wrestling.
would you consider Iron Claw a sports movie?
Yeah, I think I would consider
Pretty
wrestling.
much, right? I guess. And the
It's very athletic.
The Wrestler's a
Yeah.
good movie.
All right, so do you want to say what's at the top of your list?
Okay, we got it over it, I guess.
To answer
like
your
I
question, I do have some non-conventional sports.
Okay. The ones that I was going to pick out are obviously like your Rocky, your Raging Bull when I was talking about boxing. The Fighter was good as well. But I was going to go into like, we started going into comedy,
Okay.
like Happy Gilmore,
Okay. Yeah. So what? So what? That's a great pick.
the Mighty Ducks.
All right. Well, slow down. So what would your moment be from Happy Gilmore? And
Happy Gilmore.
There's so many. Of
There's so many to pick from. Oh man, that's really hard. I wasn't expecting to have to pick out one bit. Man, that's too hard. There's just so many going through my head.
I think
If you're fighting with Bob Barker, screaming at the ball. It's just whenever he loses his SH, I'm trying not to swear. Every time he loses his mind during that movie, he just starts screaming. And that was before I think that kind of Adam Sandler behavior was annoying.
oh yeah,
And he played it like, rather than annoying, he just played it like he was really just had mental problems. And he was just had anger management issues.
yeah. No, I love Happy Gilmore and I love The Waterboy too. Like I think that's a great football movie.
Yeah.
Like I just love when he's talking to like I think it's the quarterback and he's like talking to him like his mother. And he's
Please don't kill me. Oh, please don't kill me. I never said she was the devil.
He's like, I love you too, son.
Yeah, that was. I remember really enjoying that movie. I mean, there's some bits of it are a bit like, oh, it's a bit too.
Well, I'm sure it's pretty dated now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I really love that
That's what I mean. Just him screaming and going nuts and tackling people.
one. Yeah. So sorry, you said Happy Gilmore and then what was the
Thinking
comedy? You
Mighty
said?
Ducks.
Oh yeah. Well, which one?
Which I'm not really a huge Mighty Ducks fan. I came to it later, but it's like it's just part of the like lexicon of classic sports movies. Even though when I watched it, I was like, this does not hold up at all. It's just like really bad.
Well, that's why I would say D2 is the superior movie.
Is that the one where they go to the Olympics or whatever it is, or the World
Yeah,
Championship?
and then the bad guys are Iceland.
Yeah.
They have the Bash brothers, and the guy like brings his lasso out onto the
It's
ice.
like none of it makes any sense. It's so ridiculous, but it's
Yeah, I
just
feel like they would get disqualified.
just classic moments. Just like the classic bit where they show the ducks flying information at the end, but it's actually geese.
Yeah.
Canadian geese.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
It's like the crossfade to the flying green ducks at the end. It's like they're Canadian geese, my friend.
Well, sticking to hockey comedies, I feel like I'd have to mention Slapshot.
Right,
Have you seen that
which I have not seen. No.
Okay, well, I think that's a must watch.
Yes, there's quite a few hockey movies, right? I haven't really seen any of them. Like I said, I hadn't even watched Mighty Ducks, and that was really the only one I had really heard of growing up.
Well, Slapshot, like the basic premise is that Paul Newman is like coach and captain of like a failing
Right.
like minor league team.
Okay.
And to get to like kind of gain interest in the hockey club and kind of like drive fans there, they decide to like start playing as dirty as possible, basically.
Nice.
And while playing as dirty as possible, they also start winning all the games. And there's the Hanson brothers. Have you heard about them?
No.
They're like a key part of
Like
like
say Hanson or Handsome.
Hanson brothers.
Oh, I think the Hanson brothers, like they're really pretty.
No, they're all like long-haired, skinny guys with glasses.
Okay.
And they bring them onto the team partway through, and they're like the absolute dirtiest players. And there's like an extended montage of them just like beating the absolute crap out of guys on the ice and just like sucker punching
I've
them.
seen a clip of that.
Well, at the very least, watch the clip.
Yeah, I think I have seen that with there because when you said that, it just like it came into my mind.
Yeah.
I've seen like people who look like that doing that.
Well, to this day, like you still see guys at like hockey games who dress like
Dressed as
them. Like they are like a key part of hockey culture.
Nice.
Yeah, like their scenes are just like so funny.
Right.
And I think like for younger listeners who might be checking out the movie, like there is like some very racy comedy in the movie.
Nice.
But yeah, just a product of its time.
I guess going on a bit of a tangent, but I was thinking of like a subculture. This is like the kids team movie,
Yeah,
like
Bad News Bears.
yeah, that stuff like someone has to come in. I guess that's kind of what Mighty Ducks was, but there was
Yeah,
a whole,
Mighty
there was
Ducks
a
is
whole
pretty much
bunch
just
of those.
copy paste Bad News Bears onto ice, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then they did one for soccer, I think. And
Yeah, was that the Big Green?
there wasn't one like kicking and screaming or something. What sport was that?
Yeah, is that the Will Ferrell one? Because I've never actually seen that one.
No, I've not seen any of them.
And you're a soccer fan, like yeah.
Yeah, that's just little kids messing around.
Well, kind of getting away from conventional like North American sports. I think I was telling you about this movie before, but it's a Bollywood movie called Lagan,
Oh, really?
and it's a cricket movie,
Oh, interesting.
and it takes place during the 19th century, and the British challenge like the local Indian population to play a game of cricket.
Right.
And if they win the game, then they don't have to pay taxes for 2 years. And if they lose the game, their taxes are doubled.
Oh, wow.
And
That's high stakes stuff.
it is high stakes stuff. And the Indian players have never played cricket before. And so they have to, they're basically like, it's like the first half kind of plays out like a comedy. Then they're kind of
Right.
just like learning the rules. And what's so interesting about the movie is like the British Army guys are like, they're just like the total bad guys. Like, so it's like a lot of Bollywood movies, the British don't ever come off very well.
which is very fair.
And like there's some great moments in the actual games. The game's like 3 days long. And I don't want to kind of spoil the ending, which would be like my pick for the best moment, but the main character kind of goes on this like long epic batting run. I don't know how familiar you are with cricket. The only thing I really know about cricket is from watching this movie.
Yeah, I don't follow it a lot, but I probably know more about it than you.
Yeah. Well, this was by far the best cricket movie I've ever seen.
A top 10 cricket movie. Yeah, you don't get a lot of cricket movies.
Yeah, it's sort of like a cricket movie / historical epic
Yes.
/ musical because it is Bollywood.
It is very big in India, though. Like cricket.
Yeah.
I had something in my mind that I was going to bring up, and now I've forgotten what I was going to say. Can't have been that important. Let's move on.
Well, I had another unconventional.
Oh,
pick.
that's sorry. That's what I was going to say. Let me say
Okay.
before I forget. We talk about soccer movies, and Taika Waititi just brought his out a couple
Yeah,
months ago, right?
I hadn't seen it yet.
I hadn't seen it, but I heard it was bad,
Yeah,
which
well,
which doesn't
I
surprise me because it was like shelved for almost like a year or
yeah,
whatever it was.
I think he had filmed it before he'd even filmed Jojo Rabbit, and
Yeah.
it was just like it went through a bunch of edits and re-edits because like it wasn't working. And like I'm a Watiti fan, but I've kind of
He needs to.
softened a little bit on
Yeah, I
him.
think he needs to be reined. I think he needs to be reined in a bit sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that was a great example. It's like, okay, you got someone really good making a movie. He's obviously passionate about it, and it's an interesting story at least. But no, you can't make an interesting soccer movie.
What's that? Well, you know what? Like we did reference it before, but I feel like Bend It Like Beckham's a pretty good movie.
I like Bend It Like Beckham.
Yeah, and they do Bend It Like Beckham.
They do. He wasn't even in it though.
No, did they not get a cameo from him?
No, there was a cameo at the very end, but it was just a lookalike. It wasn't even him.
Oh, really?
Isn't that crazy?
They must have been planning the whole time. Like,
They just-
we'll convince him at some
They just
point.
couldn't. They couldn't afford him, I guess. Like
He would 100% do it today. Like, there's
no doubt.
like, because he was still like,
Yeah, he's still
playing
playing
at the
now.
time,
Yeah, I think
right?
he's still playing for the national team at that point.
he was a Man U guy, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, like shows how little I know. I had to ask that question.
Man U
But I'm like, I was pretty sure.
Yeah. That's what he came up playing for Man United.
Well, the unconventional pick I was gonna say was the original Rollerball from the 70s,
nice pick.
which like the actual I think it's a pretty good movie overall. Like it's a pretty good dystopian, and I don't remember if we actually mentioned it during our dystopian episode
I don't think we did.
on
actually.
Civil War.
Yeah.
So check that discussion on our favorite dystopian movies. But that one's like a pretty good dystopian overall, and the sport itself is a combination of like roller derby where they have to skate around a rink, but they have motorcycles in it, and they're just like trying to like beat the absolute living shit out of each other. And as the movie progresses, the league keeps taking rules away. So
really?
by the time you get to the
There's no holes barred.
yeah, by the time you get to the final match, which is like the championship, there are like literally no rules, and then it just becomes like utter chaos.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, and I can't say what my favorite moment is because it's like literally like the
Just
the last minute. But it's like kind of James Caan being the last man standing on the rink against a couple of opponents.
Nice.
Really worth checking out.
Yeah. I feel like the list of movies that I need to watch just every time we do this, it grows by like 20 movies.
Well, I found these lists have been pretty helpful in like
Planning what you're gonna watch.
planning what I'm going to watch exactly.
Talking of roller derby, what was it Whip It, that movie?
Oh yeah, that was the Drew Barrymore directed that.
Yes, you're right. Was that the first movie she directed?
Yeah, has she directed another one since then?
Oh, very good point.
I don't
She
know.
must have. Maybe not though. It was a good movie though. I remember liking that movie.
I didn't end up seeing it.
Yeah, it was well reviewed, I think.
Did it? It's Elliot Page, right?
Yeah,
That one?
yeah.
Yeah. And Drew Barrymore. Anyone else in that one?
I can't remember.
But yeah, that's just roller derby. It's like, as far as I can tell, roller derby, they just have to make it around the rink one time.
Yeah, like there's a girl I work with who used to do roller derby. She might listen actually, so hi Felicia. But no, I think they just have like different jobs. Like there's people who are there just to like block. It sounds a bit like Quidditch. Like have your beaters and your
Blockers, yeah.
and then you've got a person whose job it is to grab the ball and try and get around. But yeah, I do not understand the rules at all.
Yeah,
It
so
looks fun though.
like every time I've seen roller derby, it's just women playing. Like, do men play that as well?
No, that's a very good question.
It's like in Canada, it's mostly just women who play field hockey, but I know that's not
No,
the case everywhere in the world.
no, it's funny in England. That's one of the things that I always say growing up. Because when I'm growing up, if someone said they played hockey, it would mean field hockey.
Right.
So we have hockey and we have ice hockey.
Okay.
And they came over here and it's like, no, we have hockey and we have field hockey.
Yeah, I think
It's like it's flipped.
I think in the Olympics, it's still technically classified as
hockey.
ice hockey.
Right. Do they call it field hockey or regular hockey? That'd be interesting.
At the Olympics?
Yeah.
Is field hockey an Olympic sport?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it definitely is.
Well, the Summer Olympics are so goofy, like, because they have like 500
Well,
events.
this is the other thing as well growing up. Like, this is a funny thing because when I was growing up, we had the Olympics and then we had the Winter Olympics
Yeah.
because like England do not do anything in the Winter Games, so no one. Great Britain. I mean, they do.
You guys do speed skating?
A bit now, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Scottish, like the
What about-
the curling.
Oh, speaking of which, what about Eddie the Eagle?
Right, good,
Yeah.
great point. That's a great movie.
And that's like a good Olympic movie. And that also got me thinking of Cool Runnings.
Oh yes, well, yeah. It's funny because like when you think of sports, that's what I mean. You think of sports, like none of these popped into my head, but they're all sports. It's like racing, any kind of racing movie.
Yeah, that would count. Like Days
Yeah.
of Thunder and
Yeah,
and-
Talladega Nights.
Oh my God.
Oh, then
I am so mad at myself for not thinking of Talladega
What
Nights.
about the ice skating one that he did as well?
Blades of Glory?
Blades of Glory.
Yeah, do you remember the move that they had to do to pull that off? Like they're basically like swinging him around by his skate.
That was such a stupid movie. What was that movie? What was it called? Where it was about an ice hockey player who goes to try and do figure skating. I just remember the bit where she's like toe pick, and it's not ringing any bells.
No.
I can't remember that movie.
It's a women's ice hockey player.
No, it's like a male ice hockey player like doesn't make it in a league, so he goes to do figure skating instead, like mixed. I don't know what they call it, mixed couples figure skating.
I've never heard of this movie. What?
And like obviously he can't do the delicate stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I remember. Yeah,
It's kind of silly to think that just like a hockey player would just
Yeah,
be able
I
to
can
go
skate.
and do figure skating
because
because like
it's like a
figure-
totally different
figure
skill set.
skating is like 1,000% more technical than
Right.
than playing hockey.
It's like it's totally different. Yeah, but it's what's one. That was
Like-
it. It's a movie.
Well, that's the thing. Like from Mighty Ducks, like they took two figure skaters and put them on the team, played them as hockey players. I feel like you could go from figure skating to hockey a lot easier than you can go from hockey to figure
I
skating.
guess I think either way's got to be hard.
Yeah.
Like those figure skaters are pretty slight usually.
Well, I was put in figure skating lessons as a young kid.
Oh,
and
nice.
I did not have the attention span for it. I kept skating away from the instructors, so they took me out of it pretty quickly.
I was gonna say how many twirls can you do? I guess
Uh,
they're probably not called twirls. That's
I can do like large circles.
large circles. You can do much better than what I can do. I can barely stand up on skates, which it's hard to admit when you're technically Canadian.
Yeah. Any other mentions? I have one kind of in the back of my mind that's not a sports movie, but has a great sports moment in it.
Ooh, I just went on a bit of a tangent in my brain about martial arts movies because I know we touched on it briefly with Karate Kid, but when we were talking about our best fight scenes, we got into a lot of like Bloodsport and Kickboxer and all those movies, so they would technically count, right?
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But no. Yeah, there's a
Well,
there's a lot of it covers.
so would you count it if it's like a martial arts movie that takes place at like has a martial arts
I
tournament?
guess there's got to be
That's a
something,
sport.
like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. It's Mortal Kombat. I guess it's the ultimate sport.
I guess if there's a competition involved, I guess maybe I don't know.
What about golf movies?
Yeah, golf movies. Like I mentioned, like Happy Gilmore, but you got Caddyshack.
Oh yeah.
What-
And Tin Cup.
yeah, Tinko. I was gonna say, what's the one with what's his name?
My guy.
Yeah, your
Kevin
man. Your man.
Costner.
Kevin Costner. Yeah, I was gonna say the one with Kevin Costner.
Well, the non-sport movie I was thinking of was Top Gun. The volleyball scene
Nice.
is probably going to be my ultimate answer because I think that's just
Epitome of sports.
the epitome of sports. That's just like friendship and brotherhood,
How does the
homoerotica.
one in Maverick compare?
Well, because in that one they're just playing.
It's like touch football or whatever.
They're
it is,
playing
right?
touch football and they're both on offense and defense at the same time, right? Is that the thing?
I don't know. It was that lost me.
Yeah, I can't really remember anything about it except for just like Tom Cruise just sitting and watching all them play and laughing at
Yeah,
them.
it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
I remember reading an article though that they were all like really
yeah.
desperately trying to one up each other, who would look the best.
Yeah.
Like doing push-ups and not eating and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, did you hear? Because they all like basically fasted before that
Yeah,
scene,
yeah.
and then after they filmed it, they went on like a bender, and then Cruise was watching the dailies, and he said,
Yeah, it's
"You know, it's not good enough. We got to go back and do it again."
they're like, no, we're past that. Yeah, that's funny.
All right. Any other honorable mentions?
I don't. I can't. There was something in my particularly in my brain, but I've lost it again. My my brain's not making my neurons aren't firing tonight for some reason.
Did we?
Oh, I was going to say we should bring it back around to challenges. Talk
Oh,
about
tennis.
tennis
Okay.
movies. Because how many is there? We got? There was one.
Battle of the Sexes.
Not seen that. I don't think I've seen any tennis movies to be quite honest. But there was a Wimbledon one, right? Wasn't there Paul Bettany in a movie about Wimbledon?
Yes. I think was that with Kirsten Dunst?
I think so. Yeah, I think you might be
I
right.
didn't actually see it.
No,
Though.
I didn't see that either. And well, you're Serena the Williams. What's his name?
Oh, King Richard.
King Richard.
Yeah.
Was that last year? Year before?
Yeah. When was the slap? I think that would have been 2020.
Yeah, it must have
2021
must have
movie.
come out in 21, and then it was
Yeah.
the Oscars in 20.
How'd you like that one?
Did see it.
Well, it's the same.
There's a theme this week, Trevor. I've not
It's-
seen anything.
Well, you did clearly state at the beginning that you were not a big fan of sports movies.
True.
Well, King Richard is like very, very watchable.
Right.
I think
Solid movie as well.
I think it's a really solid movie. It's an interesting story. I think Will Smith's performance is bad. I think it's kind of funny that that's what he won his Oscar for, considering he's got so many great roles under his belt.
Speaking of Ali,
Oh yeah, no, that's yeah,
that's
and
a
that
good movie.
well, that's one like
I haven't seen that one.
I can
Going
see
back
them-
to boxing.
I can
Boxing
see them-
is the only one I like.
I could see them giving him the Oscar for that movie. He was great.
Yeah.
But in King Richard, he's just like talking in like, and I can understand that's sort of how Richard Williams talks, right? But
Right.
it seems like he's playing such a character in that one.
It seemed like it was a bit Oscar baity as well.
Yeah, but the tennis scenes in it are pretty good actually.
Oh yeah.
Then trying to think of other stuff. There's like a pretty good tennis scene in Strangers on a Train, because like one of the murdering co-conspirators was a tennis pro.
Okay. Okay.
Trying to think what else.
No, I can't think of any
Oh.
other tennis movies.
Mr. Deeds. There's the tennis scene in that.
Right. I was gonna say I think like there's some comedies that have tennis scenes with people playing.
Well, tennis is so ridiculous, really.
Yeah.
Are you a tennis fan?
I liked that. Like Wimbledon was always a huge deal. Over in England, still is. But that was about all. I mean, I used to be more into it when I was a kid. I used to play and stuff, but
Oh yeah. Well,
like I haven't watched any tennis for probably a decade or two at this point.
I've kind of picked it up a little bit as an adult, and
It's
as like Canadians had a pretty good run of like having some good players in there for a bit.
yeah. I think that's what it is. If you need people you can follow.
Yeah, like I'm not just gonna like be a fan of someone
You
from
just
Switzerland
watch a
necessarily,
game
just
with
because
two
like,
randos you don't
yeah.
know. It's just a bit like, and I feel like back in the day there was way more characters. Like,
Well, like the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, with your McEnroes and your Boris Beckers and all, like it was like had a bit of character. Now it's just like any sport. It's just everyone's just such a finely honed athlete. It's just like
Yeah.
you're watching clones of each other playing. But there's what's her name? That Canadian?
Bianca.
No, isn't it like what's her name? Isn't it like Eugenie or something?
Oh, Eugenie Bouchard
Yes.
is the well, like she had a really good run like 2014, 2015, but then she dropped off
Oh,
pretty,
really?
pretty quickly.
So is how much I know.
And then,
there's a new Canadian star.
Well,
Apparently.
Bianca
Totally passed me
Andreescu won the U.S. Open, so she's
Really?
the
Okay.
first Canadian to win like a Grand Slam.
Oh, nice.
That's still the only one.
Cool.
But then she had some injury problems, and so she's kind of dropped off,
Right.
which is unfortunate because like she kind of had the makings to be like a perennial contender. So it's a little unfortunate, but like Canadian tennis has come a long way.
Yeah. I think tennis in England has kind of dropped off a bit from what I could tell.
Well, you guys just don't have the superstars, right? Like
Exactly. Yeah.
got like a Scottish guy who's pretty good, but
Yeah, I can't stand him though.
oh really?
Yeah, he's just a miserable. I'll save my words.
Yeah. Well, because outside of the like big three, like he's like the fourth guy, right?
Yeah,
For that.
well,
area.
and yeah, we won't get into the geopolitics of the United Kingdom, but
Well,
he's not a fan of English people.
Well, I remember someone asking him a question like around the time that he first won Wimbledon. Like they asked, like, what does this mean for England? Like him winning, and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, which is why, like, fair play to him. But, like, anyway, Let's move on from tennis.
All right, so that's what some of our favorite sports movies. I'm sure we'll think of some more down the road, but
Yeah,
I want to hear from you. What are your favorite moments in sports? What did we miss?
yeah.
What are like some glaring blind spots that we failed to mention?
There's probably a whole sport that we just forgot to talk about.
Did we cover all the big ones? Do we say any baseball ones?
We briefly mentioned it, but I don't think we got into it.
Moneyball, Field of
Yeah,
Dreams.
League of Their Own.
Yeah, great movies, great moments. All.
I've seen Moneyball. There you go.
Yeah,
I like that.
that's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it is very good.
Want to play Guess the Actor?
Yeah, we got 10 minutes. We're 10 minutes out, so let's get a game in.
Okay. So we kind of dropped this off for a few episodes, but basically the game is one of us has an actor in mind, and we're going to list 5 movies that this actor has been in, and they're going to start off a little more obscure either in like, might not be that well known of a movie, or they might be like just a bit player in that movie. Getting a little easier as they go along, and Pete's going to try to guess it in as few movies as possible.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready this week.
All right, so be sure to play along at home and try to beat Pete.
Yes.
Okay,
All right,
ready?
Lay it on me, man. I'm ready.
Okay. First movie is AI, Artificial Intelligence,
Oh, okay.
which is a favorite of mine. I love that.
I am a big fan of that movie too, actually. I think it gets a bad rap. But saying that, I haven't seen it for a long time, so I'm trying to remember who's actually in it. And I guess I'll just go Jude Law.
Well, yeah, it's good pull that Jude Law's in it.
He is in it, right?
Yeah, he plays like the
Gigolo
robot
Joe.
Gigolo Joe.
Gigolo
Yeah.
Joe, what do you know? Basically all I remember from that movie at this point.
Man, I think that might be my favorite Jude Law performance. Jude Law is not who I was thinking of for that.
Like, how'd you play a Gigolo robot and do it so well?
Wow, he did it. He made me feel again.
He did. Give him the Oscar retroactively.
Yeah. Okay. Second movie,
All right.
Lee Daniels, The Butler.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you know anyone who's in that?
No, I'm trying to think of who's in AI now. I mean, I guess I could just say Haley Joel Osment, get out of the way.
It's not Haley Joel Osment.
That would have been a bit
Good
obvious.
guess.
That would have been a bit too obvious.
A little side tangent. I think that's probably the best like child performance of all time.
Man,
is
he was
him in that
he was
movie.
so good. Whatever happens to Haley Joel Osment?
I think he's acting now.
Yeah,
I think he was in The Boys.
Yeah, he was in a few movies. Yeah, he was in The Boys. You're right. That's where I saw him.
Okay. Third movie is Good Will Hunting.
Oh my word. Oh man, I'm trying to think who was in it. AI.
Now, AI, you could completely forget that this person was
Yes,
in it.
and
They had one very meaty scene in AI, and it was a
Okay.
voice performance.
All right. Second one you saw was The Butler. Okay. Oh my word. Okay. Who could it be? I'm gonna go Robin Williams.
Yep.
Is it?
Yeah, Robin
It's
Williams.
like voice performance. I'm guessing was Robin Williams in AI?
Yeah, he was.
Wow, I do not remember that at all.
He was like Haley Joel Osment's character is trying to look for the blue fairy,
Oh yeah.
and they like use this like holographic information system, and
Okay.
he's the voice of that system.
Really? Wow. Like, did you know that, or did you have to look that up?
No, I knew that.
Wow.
Well, because
you do like that movie.
I love that. I love that movie. Yeah, so Robin Williams.
Wow.
Fan of Robin Williams?
Oh, I love Robin Williams. Although I haven't seen the what was the movie you said? I've forgotten already. The movie you just said.
Oh, Lee Daniels, The Butler. Yeah.
yes. When did that
played-
come out?
I think like 2011,
Right.
thereabouts.
I think now you mentioned it, I do remember that coming out and that he was in it. But no, I've not seen it, so
Yeah,
I couldn't even hazard a guess.
Yeah, so like the premise of the movie is like this this butler at the White House
Right.
like serves all these different presidents like throughout history or whatever, and Robin Williams plays Eisenhower.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
For a pretty
gotcha.
good performance, and a movie I don't really like that much.
Yeah, Robin Williams is a good shout. There's a lot. Well, what were the other movies you were gonna throw out?
So then for number 4, I had The Fisher King, which is
okay.
the Terry Gilliam movie.
Right.
And then movie number 5 was Aladdin.
Nice.
which I feel like you'd probably get it at number 5 for
Yeah,
sure.
there's lots of choices though for Robin Williams.
Well, he was pretty tough because like he's very famously in a lot of
Yes,
movies,
and
right?
and he's not usually a small bit.
Exactly.
But usually very present.
It was hard for me to find
Yeah,
movies that like what so I was just like, well, I can't put Mrs. Doubtfire, and I can't put Good Morning Vietnam, I can't put
No.
Dead Poets Society.
That's true. That's true. I'm trying to think of, is there's any like, was there any movies that had like a huge cast that he was just part of? But, probably not.
Well, The Butler is the closest like
Yeah, right. Okay.
like I'm trying to think of any other ensemble one he did.
Yeah. No, I can't think of anything either. No, that was a great shout though, and I got it. I did it.
You got it in 3.
I didn't even need Aladdin.
Yeah. So there we go. Yeah, so we're about 3 minutes out from the movie now.
What are your expectations for this? Do we align on that? I feel like I can't remember if we actually said what we thought was gonna. You said you were looking forward to it, right?
Yeah, like I think it's going to be a great movie.
I think it's gonna be good too.
Um,
I'm not expecting to be disappointed, but saying that, I don't think my expectations are super high.
are you a Zendaya fan?
I am, but I'm a bit also like I haven't seen.
I haven't seen Euphoria.
No, I also was gonna say I haven't seen Euphoria, so the stuff I've seen her, I'm kind of like, I know she can do that pretty well, but I don't know. I've not seen her, and like in Dune, I thought she was good.
Yeah, and Dune 2, I think she's
Yeah, she's really good in that. But so I am a fan, but like I'm not like I don't think she's the greatest ever actress who ever lived or anything. But
yeah.
but like that's what I mean. I think she has potential to be really good.
Like this movie's kind of, and like it's still very early, but you know, it's got a lot of people saying like this could be
Like a
her
cool-
first Oscar nomination
Right.
for this
It's like
one.
it's like a career defining role.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems that kind of movie as well, right? It's like
Yeah, well, and it seems like this is kind of the year where that young class of actors is finally going to level up. Like
yeah.
Chalamet already has an Oscar nom for Call Me by Your Name, right? But like
Yeah.
Dune 2, I really feel like he's going to get a nomination. Like I don't know if that's just me being hopeful, but I think it's just such a great performance.
You know what I absolutely love, and I watched again this week? Wonka.
Yeah.
Have you seen Wonka?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
he's great
it's
in Wonka.
so good. He's so good in that.
Yeah, well, and to be able to do Wonka and
It's so
Paul
different.
Atreides,
It's so different from what
Yeah.
he's known, but what he's done before. That's why I love it so much.
and like if you do have time, check out him in Bones and All, which is the Luca Guadagnino movie where he plays like a queer-coded cannibal character.
Oh, okay.
It's a really interesting performance.
Yeah, this guy's got
So
range.
I'm a Chalamet and Zendaya fan. I like this crop of young kids.
Yeah, and he's
Makes me sound like I'm a million years old.
he's having
I'm
a-
in my 30s.
he's having a kid now. Did you see that?
Is he really?
Yeah, he knocked up what's her name? Is it Kardashian? Who's he with?
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh man,
What's her name?
he seems like such a. I couldn't-
Kendall, is it Kendall? I don't know. I don't follow the Kardashians, but
I know
I saw a headline saying they were having a baby.
Okay, well, congratulations, Tim. I know you're a loyal listener.
All the Tim Chalamet fans are very upset about that whole situation. I believe.
Well, I remember they were upset when they were dating.
Yes. Now they're having a baby.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
congratulations,
well,
Timothée.
we'll let you know if there's any babies in this movie we're about to see. So if you're new to the show, we're gonna pause, go inside, and watch the movie. We're gonna come back and give you a spoiler-free, immediate reaction to the movie we just saw before going into spoiler territory, and then also tell you when a good time to go pee is.
Yeah, and don't worry, we won't jump into spoilers without giving plenty of warning. So feel free to keep listening for the next 5-10 minutes, and we'll let you know if you don't want to be anything in the movie to be spoiled. We'll let you know when to shut it off, and then obviously come back when you've seen it and finish hearing our deep insights into the tennis movie.
All right. Well, we're off to go see Challengers.
Yeah, don't go anywhere, guys.
See you soon.
Yeah, bye-bye. Welcome back, everyone. We've just headed out from Challengers. So it's getting late here, so excuse any yawns you might hear, but let's jump right into it, I guess, Trevor. First impressions?
Yeah, first impressions, I thought it was pretty good, like very entertaining, and the sports scenes in particular were quite well done, though there were some like techniques that were a little overused, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But on the whole, like it was a very intriguing story.
Hmm.
What did you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was I've noticed it was like very like you could say like over directed in some parts, like what you were saying. Like
Yeah.
it seemed like he had a lot of ideas of what he wanted to do, and it was very cool and interesting. A lot of the stuff he was doing, but yeah, I kind of agree that towards the end it was a bit like, oh, okay, maybe just dial it back a little bit. Like, but no story. Because yeah, I thought the story was really engaging. I thought they did a really great job. Like all three of the main actors, I thought were really good.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how like good of a job they did at making them seem like both like 18 and like
Yeah, that
34.
is a good point because I was thinking that myself. It's like I guess a bit of stubble goes a long way.
Well,
And
someone
a
like
haircut.
yeah, like I don't know, like did they film the young scenes first and then like each of the guys just build up like a bunch of muscle mass or something?
Yes,
Because like
right.
because
Well, there wasn't really many like shirtless scenes though, right? When they were supposed to be young, I guess it's just a lot of it could just be posture, clothing.
yeah, that's true.
But
But like
yeah, it was
because
crazy.
I because this movie does like jump back and forth between
Yeah,
the present
I
and
did kind of like
future and
that framing device of it though. How it was like it kept like jumping back and forward in time and
well
revealing things and
yeah no I thought like
really well done.
I thought the choices they made and like when to reveal things at what point during the story were really smart.
Mhm.
I I think I might have missed like a title card at the very beginning because I thought when it shows them first playing each other, I thought that was like them playing like in the past, not like in the present.
Right.
So it just took me a second to kind
Yeah,
of get caught up.
there was one or two times I think I was in the same way. I think there was one point where it's like, oh, it's Atlanta, and then it immediately jumped back to not being in Atlanta, being back in New York, and I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, I think that's why it was a bit difficult, especially because you say like it's not like they were like, oh, let's slap a bunch of makeup on him to make it look like they're old to make
Yeah.
it super obvious. It was like just to kind of remember what haircuts they had.
Yeah. Well, like you said, like how much of it do we that
And it spanned a lot
they
of
look?
time, right? Like
Yeah, no.
jumping from like 8 years ago to 7 years ago. I was like, oh, I did find that a bit sort of. Maybe it's just because it's late in the day, but I was finding it a little bit difficult to follow at times. But now it's like, what year are we in now? How old are they supposed to be? But no, it wasn't like it didn't take me out of it though. It was just a bit like, okay, it's just the past, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's like for any movie that kind of jumps around and like non-linear. And I think the non-linear story really serves
No,
well.
yeah, I thought it did really well.
And I knew like kind of going into it, I wasn't really expecting that. I was like kind of expecting them to spend a good chunk of time when they were young and then kind of jump forward and then
Yeah, me too. And honestly, like I think it could have. There was a danger of it probably would have been a bit boring, to be honest, if it had
Yeah.
done it that way. Like if it had done the traditional, like following the timeline traditionally from start to finish, I think it wouldn't have been as engaging. Because like the story wise, I thought it was really engaging and good, but I don't know how much like by the end, and like we'll get to spoilers, but I think I don't know how I feel about the end as much. But I mean, we can get into that in a bit.
well, yeah, it's tough to kind of dance around it, but what did you feel about like the like because you said like at times it kind of felt over directed, but I feel like everything was sort of kind of like the directing style was sort of building up to that last little sequence, and I think like that payoff kind of worked, but whether that worked for you story
Yeah,
wise,
I think that was what I meant. What I was getting into. I don't think that did pay off. I don't think that did work for me
oh,
as well.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, like I could see that, and like even like a lot of the sound design in it was really interesting as well, and really like kept bringing that like that more music back in, and it's just like it was almost overbearing, but it's like worked so well with what it was doing. But yeah, I know what you mean. It was like all building up to that last thing because without spoiling anything, it's like it definitely builds up to the end. But yeah, just for me, I don't know if it didn't really work for me as much as I was hoping it would.
So we were talking about like our best sports moments in film. Do you think like this had some great sports moments?
I don't think so. I think, like we said before, I think the sport was more of a framing device of like the
Mhm.
relationship story and how it can kind of how it affects relationships and whatnot. like there was some really interesting shots, but I mean, it's tennis, right? Like, how can you make a ball going back and forward really all that interesting? And fair play to him, he made it interesting, and there was a bunch of different things he did. But yeah, to me, I was a bit like, okay, yeah, it's still just two guys hitting a ball to each other.
Well, exactly. But that's kind of all sports movies, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly,
because
yeah. And that's why I struggle with them.
I think we said like, sports kind of in and of themselves are not so cinematic. Like, what makes it interesting in a sports movie is the story.
Exactly.
Like, there's one shot in particular that I kind of really liked. It's like an unbroken shot, kind of starting with her, and then it moves back, and then swings around to each of the guys, and then kind of goes up above, and like is
I think
watching it like a game of
it's like even like the opening shot was a bit like that, where he came in
yeah.
and went like over the net, and the ball was like really passing, and then it went all the way like to focus in on Zendaya character. Like,
Yes,
like a lot of camera work was really well done.
The camera was like on a zip line or something at one point. Like,
there was a lot of great CGI tennis ball action in that movie. Like, I don't know if they ever hit a real one.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Not that it was obvious, but I mean, you could just tell because you can't go through the cameraman.
you can tell that like they're like really doing stuff at some parts, right? And then other times it kind of zooms out, and like I was gonna ask like, can you tell like when it's all CGI or when it's a stunt person or?
No, I just kind of assumed it was mostly CGI and I saw a bit of a behind the scenes of the day of training for it, like practicing playing tennis without a ball.
Right.
But to be fair to him though, like
that must be pretty hard to pull off.
It didn't. Right? Like, to be fair to them, like they did a really good job of looking like tennis players. It's not like you're like, oh, that's a bit like just an actor pretending to know how to play tennis. Like, I could believe that they are very good at tennis based off of what I'm seeing. Because to your point, I don't remember any scenes where I'm like, oh, that's definitely not them. That's a stunt double.
Yeah,
that's a tennis double. Like, I don't remember thinking that at any point.
And so people who are maybe thinking about coming out to see this movie as like a hot erotic thriller, like what?
I mean, it's got some steamy bits, but no, I wouldn't necessarily say it's an erotic thriller.
Well, it certainly is tamer than I thought it was going to be going into it.
There was penis in it though. Spoiler warning.
Yeah, there was full frontal male nudity. I think that's about it though, right? Like, there's like partial nudity elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
But that's like if you're going to it kind of based off of like things that are being insinuated in the trailer, then
if you're going
you might be a bit disappointed.
To see that they're getting her clothes off, then you're gonna be disappointed. You perv.
Yeah, that's why you're listening to those podcasts.
Yeah, you got some moral judgments, right? What did you think of? So I thought the performances were all good, but before we went in, we were saying that it's supposed to be like Zendaya's big career-defining performance. Do you think it was?
I don't know. Like, I think the two things I've seen her in this year is this and Dune 2, and I think I like her performance in Dune 2 more.
Yeah. I think.
Like that being said, like I thought she was very good in it, and like I can totally see her getting an Oscar nom because like she's a big star and putting together like a solid performance, but like it didn't like absolutely blow me away.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I think they all did a great job, but yeah, it's not like I was like, wow, this is some of the best acting I've ever seen.
Kind of the standout for me is the I'm struggling to remember all the names, but the brown-haired guy. I don't remember what his name is.
The guy with the stubble.
The guy with the stubble. Like, and it really does. Like, he goes from like 18 to 35. Like,
just really with the face on it. Right?
I think he was what was his character?
He was really good. I could not tell you his character's name.
Damn it! I'm usually pretty good at this.
Donaldson was the other guy.
Yeah, Art Donaldson.
Yes,
and then Zwig, I think his name was.
Yeah, something like that. But no, I couldn't tell you his first name.
But no, I think he was kind of the MVP of the movie.
He was really excellent, actually. But I think he had the best character. He had the most fun character to play, right? I think that's what it was.
He had the best character, but like all of them did a good job, like being awful people at different
Yes.
parts of the movie,
Yes.
like because no one's a saint in this one. Like,
Yeah, that was kind of a point I made as well. I think that's why I it didn't work for me at the end. It's because I kind of was just like, yeah, you're all just kind of horrible people,
yeah, yeah,
which I always struggle with in movies. I'm like, I want someone to root for.
pretty
Like,
much.
like in the end, I'm like, I want to make sure I'm rooting for someone who wins, and then they win.
Although I was gonna ask, like, are two of them better people by the end of it?
Yeah, we can get into it. We can get into that once we've done into the spoiler section.
Yeah.
But yeah, because that's kind of wanted to get into whether because I'm not really entirely sure if I know if I know how I feel about it.
Right. So, anything else we should mention before we go into spoiler territory? Then.
No, I don't think so. I think definitely go see it. I think I would definitely
Yeah.
recommend it. Like even my wife, I think, who is tough to get out to see movies, I think she would. It's the kind of movie she would enjoy. I think.
Yeah, I think my wife would definitely enjoy this as well. I think I like pretty much got broad appeal, I would say, for the most part. Like we said, like it's tamer than kind of the ads are leading you to
Right.
believe, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
And it's also not your typical sports movie where it's like underdog struggles and then comes back at the end and wins. It's like
Yeah.
that's not what it's about at all. Like we said, it's more just framed around that tennis is the framing device, and it's not really about. It's not a sports movie. I wouldn't really say.
I'd still
Well,
say
I mean,
it's a
it
sports
is, 'cause
movie,
it's
but
about tennis,
it's a
but
relationship movie.
yeah,
for
it's not a
them.
traditional like sports movie.
Yeah. All right, so why don't we head into spoiler territory in a few seconds? If you spoilers bother you, maybe drop off.
We never did a P report.
Oh, P report. Sorry, everyone, come back
Yeah.
for the P report. 1 hour, 15 minutes in. As soon as Zendaya sits down by a tree, I'd say is
Yes.
perfect moment. You have you have about 90 seconds.
I like how
there.
cryptic that was too, as well.
Yeah.
No, wait, nothing there. Like,
Well, spoiler alert that there's a tree.
yeah, and she sits down by it. Sorry about that. Giving it away here.
Yeah, I didn't say what kind of tree it was
There you
though.
go. Keep the mystery alive.
It could be a sapling. It could be. Yeah. Well, again, let us know what your favorite sports moments are. We can be reached at our emails firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials, so link up with us there. And yeah, if spoilers bother you, kind of duck out till you see the movie. And if you have seen the rest of the movie, then stick around.
Yeah, or if you just don't care, then
Yeah, if you don't care.
just listen to us chat about it.
Yeah. This movie can be spoiled though, for sure.
It can, but I don't think it would ruin the experience if you know how it ends going in. Really.
Okay, well let's get into it then.
I'll leave it to you.
Spoilers, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So where you want to start with spoilers? Should we just go right into the ending?
Sure, or we could build up to it.
Yeah, I guess what I was trying to tiptoe around before is that, like, I think I just don't know if I understand what his message was trying to convey with the ending. Like, I get that it was kind of like a callback to when they were talking about her playing, like earlier in the movie,
Yeah.
and she was saying that like
tennis
it's
is a
like,
relationship.
it's like pure tennis, and it's like
Yeah.
it's like you have a relationship with the tennis. It's like you're in love or you don't exist, and it's just all about the tennis.
Yeah.
But like in my mind, I was like, if that's the message of the movie, that it's just tennis, I'm like, I don't really, that's not interesting to me. Like I get it, I think I get it, but I'm just like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I wanted. I don't know how else I wanted it to end. But I feel like it was one of those movies where I don't think I was going to be satisfied no matter what happened at the end. Which is probably the point, right? I mean, maybe that's the point. I'm just missing it. What was your take on the ending?
Well, because yeah, it harks back to her previous comments where she said like, you know, tennis is about a relationship. You kind of have a dialogue with a person, and then you can kind of truly understand who you are. And then like, you know, you're in love at that moment, and you don't exist in that moment. So I don't know, that's kind of what I was seeing there, is that kind of both of them sort of understood each other, and then like, because right before, like, he signals that, you know, he had sex with his wife.
Found your wife last night.
And then he has like a 2-minute breakdown, right? Like his
Right.
entire world collapses. And I think in that moment, he realizes that, he had just been playing tennis for her that whole time. He hadn't been playing for himself.
Right.
And then when they started that last kind of tie-break game, then he was playing because he enjoyed playing tennis.
Right.
And then the other guy he mentioned in the sauna how he missed just playing tennis together, right? And so they kind of went back to that moment, and then between the two of them, they just had like a moment of transcendence. And then, like, I think there's like an orgasm metaphor going on in that final moment, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Because he said like when he was watching the Zendaya match, like there's a moment where she just like screams, she's like, "Oh yeah!"
And she does it again,
right? So I kind of saw it like that, as that all three of them kind of orgasmed in that same moment.
Yeah, I think the reason why I'm struggling with it, because like I think I get that and I agree with it. I just feel like I didn't want them to have that. I just think I was like, you're all just such horrible people. I don't really want you to have this like pure moment at the end.
Yeah.
I just feel like you don't deserve it. You just all scumbags.
No, like, yeah, they all really like are just like completely like focused on
Yeah.
their own like self.
You know what I kept thinking throughout the movie. This was funny. There's definitely parts in this movie towards the end, and I'm like, I am so happy this is not my life. Like, I can't imagine trying to live a life. It just seems so stressful and hard. I'm like, man, my life's boring and easy. I love it.
Just like being a professional athlete, like
I guess, but I'm just like, wow. But it's like I feel like they're just very self-destructive characters, right?
yeah,
And it's just like trying to live a life like that where, oh my word, it's just like it would be so hard.
yeah.
It's like, oh my god. More her, I think. I think just like her life and her choices and decisions. I'm just like, oh my word, like
Yeah, so what are her motivations?
that's what I mean, right? It's like it's just all about the tennis. It seems like, but I think that's what I struggle with. Is like she's obviously very very happy at the end, and like you say, with that orgasmic moment when she's like, "This is now pure tennis. This is what I've always wanted."
Yeah,
But
she's just chasing
but
that
I'm like,
high.
why? Like, how is that the most important thing in your life? I just can't get my head in that mindset, I guess, where I'm just like, fuck everything else in your entire life. And it's all about that. But I guess maybe that, like you say, it's about professional sports, right? Always chasing that high.
Yeah. Well, and I think back to that scene in the hotel room, which is kind of like the linchpin scene,
Yep.
where it seems like her goal going to that hotel room was like not to get laid, right? It was to set those two up against each other, basically.
But why though? To what end?
Because as she's leaving, she's like, I'll give my number to the guy who wins. So I think she's like, I think I can use these guys to like see some really good tennis.
Right? That's so messed up.
And we saw like during like the makeout scene, which I don't think I've ever seen a three-way makeout scene before.
Right?
Like that was very interesting.
It was very odd, wasn't it?
But then like she pulls back and then she's just watching them making out.
Yeah.
And so it kind of establishes her as a watcher. Like she enjoys pulling strings and getting people to do things.
She was very much like the conductor in the background, like moving the pieces around.
And
but that's what I mean. So like, is the implication that that's been her whole life doing that? Like that just seems crazy to me. But maybe that's the point.
Yeah, I don't know if that's her whole life doing it, but like she certainly has that inside of her. Like as I think when she and Art kind of get together, she sees in him like, oh, this is someone that I can mold.
Yeah.
And he's like sick with puppy love for me. So he'll just do whatever I want. So I can use him to live vicariously because I can no longer play tennis.
Side note on that though, I feel like if you're a professional sportsman and your spouse is your coach, that is a recipe for disaster. Like that seems like a very, very poor decision.
Yeah. Well, because like it's not like you could fire her, right?
Like talk about causing unnecessary strife if you're married. Jeez.
Yeah, I gotta keep the work and private life separate.
Can you imagine? Oh my word.
Well, and actually that reminds me because the daughter's like trying to spend time with them, right? And they're like,
we're talking
sorry,
tennis.
we're just talking tennis. And she's like, you're always talking tennis. I'm like, that poor girl and she obviously just spends way more time with her grandma than she does with her actual parents.
That's what I mean. I think that's the sort of stuff, but I'm just like, people are horrible. Like, who gives a shit about tennis? sort your lives out.
Yeah, well,
Which is the point, I guess, right?
and they call attention to that too. Is like they say like all I know how to do is hit a ball with a racket.
Exactly.
So they realize like it is just a silly game that we're playing.
Although I did want to give a shout out, like major props for the Spider-Man across across the Spider-Verse.
I thought that was interesting too because like she plays in a Spider-Man movie, and then the daughter's like, "I want to watch Spider-Verse, mommy."
Right? Because it was very deliberate because they
It
could have
was
just
so
said a
deliberate.
movie and then they literally played the entire opening audio from Spider-Verse. Did you catch that?
Oh no!
Like it was very obvious. Like she went off in the background and it was like it wasn't like it was the background music. It was almost like it was now the score of the movie, and it was the opening.
Oh,
It's the
that's
opening
interesting.
credits audio from Spider-Verse, and I was like, wow,
Well,
they're
'cause
literally playing it. Like that's got to be some sort of homage to the sound design, I'm guessing,
Yeah, that's very interesting. Well,
because it was
and
a
now
very purposely like they name checked the movie, then literally played the opening audio track of the movie. I was like, wow, that's very deliberate. I wonder if there's a crossover on.
well, now that you mention like because that was a Sony movie, and I saw that Amy Pascal was the producer of the movie,
Yes,
so
that's a good point. I didn't notice that too.
I guess some cross promotion.
Maybe some of the same people worked in the sound department or something.
Yeah, though I would say like I like this. I like the score and I like the score for Spider-Verse better. Oh yeah, you know what? It was Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. I did see
Oh,
that
was
at
it?
the end. Yeah, we were doing the score.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and they did for Spider-Verse too, right?
I can't. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Did they? I thought it was what's his name? Oh, I don't remember. You might be right.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm not sure. I'll check it out later. But I know that they did Ninja Turtles.
Yes, they did. I feel like we always bring up Mutant Mayhem
Yeah.
at some point.
Always
Our
end up-
episodes,
always end up-
always trying to plug it. It's a great movie. I watched it again last week.
So what did you think about you mentioned the sound design before. Like, did
I
that
thought-
all work for you?
I found it very. I struggle with things like that because, on the one hand, I feel like sometimes with some of that stuff, it shouldn't be so overbearing that you're noticing it so much.
Right.
But there's other times, like with this movie, where it's purposely done
Yeah.
to be
It's
noticeable.
a choice for sure.
Because there's like so many scenes where it was just like, if it didn't have this sound design, this scene would be completely different.
Well, there was actually a moment there where, like, and I can't remember what tennis match it was, but like two players were hitting the ball back and forth with each other, and it was just like the real audio there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this looks stupid. And then the score kicked in, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like I feel like he was showing off, like saying like, this is how you actually make this interesting.
This is the difference between boring and like me using skills.
Yeah. Well, because like I do like watching tennis. I do
Oh, yeah, I enjoy it.
find it interesting, but for like there's a reason like you can't just put a sport raw onto the screen and
Right.
it'd be interesting. Like it just doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't translate.
Like because when you're not watching sports live, like it's not even the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I've tried to do that before, like watching like a recording of a
like an
game
old game.
that I already know the result of,
Yeah,
and it's
definitely
really just not the same. Even when I ignore the scores and like don't find out what it was,
Right.
and I try to watch it like just like the download, it still is not the same because I know that I'm not watching it live.
Yeah, there's definitely something about live sports for sure. To your point, even if you don't know the outcome, it doesn't feel the same. Sticking on that though, I know we touched on it before we got to spoilers, but which of the like different camera tricks and visual stylistic choices did you like?
Well, the one that I really liked, and they did this a lot in Breaking Bad, is they have like the floor be like see-through.
Yes, I was gonna say the same thing.
And then like they're bouncing the ball on it, like it just looks so cool. Like I said, Breaking Bad did that a lot too. Like
I thought sometimes it strayed into a little bit of like this looks like a commercial for Adidas. Like I could see them doing that in a commercial for Adidas.
well, because they went to an Adidas party.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of their product placement was quite stark, but
Yeah.
it's tennis, so I'll let it slide.
And so the product replacement reminded me of like all of like the the phallic stuff going on with like the food, how they're eating churros
like
and he
really close together.
takes a bite of his churro.
Yeah, there was
so funny.
There was some little things like even just before that when they were going to sit down and it shows him pulling the seat closer so they'd be sat right close together. It's like there's so many pointed things like that where it's like, oh my, you're really making a point of this.
Yeah, well, and I feel like that's why like the last part really works is because like it's building up to like, you know, these two should really just have sex with each other.
Basically what the whole movie is doing, right?
And then there was another one at the beginning of the Adidas party. I really wish I could remember the character's name, but the brown haired guy.
Right.
He's drinking a Coke, which is like product placement.
Obviously,
but like he's also just like
holding it
like right up to his mouth, like he's like got a dick going.
I'm not drinking it. I'm just gonna fold. Yeah, exactly what it was like. Yeah. What about stuff that didn't work? Yeah, it's like the one that didn't work for me was when they went like GoPro, like first person view of like the two players, and it was flipping back.
I was getting a little dizzy.
And especially when they were like, let's imagine the ball is a camera. That was the one that made me feel sick. It was like,
oh yeah,
that's a bit much.
Yeah, I think the POV stuff was okay, and like they didn't really overuse it.
Yeah, they didn't overuse it for sure.
How that very final set started out was like, yeah, the POV was the ball thing, and that was like, oh man, I can't handle much more.
Maybe that was, but like you say, maybe that was purposely done, right? It's like it was all building up, and it just like was so much. Maybe it was done on purpose, because it was a bit of an assault on the senses at that point.
Well, I would say, like, because you said like that last moment didn't entirely work for you. Did you feel like it was still well directed?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was really, really well done. My hang up is I just didn't like them. I didn't like the characters. By the end of it, I was just like, I'm so sick of you people just effing each other over and just being pathetic. And
it's hard to argue
like
against
spoil little rich kids just wanting to play tennis. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. And I'm like, I don't know. There's a part of me deep down that just can't get behind that.
Yeah, no,
even though like it's so well done, and like I say, I still love the movie and I thought it was really well done. But it's just a little part of me that's like, I was a bit like, you know what, you don't deserve that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, even like Art, do you feel a little sad for Art by the end of the movie?
Not really. I thought he was. They made him out to be so pathetic by the end of the movie.
Well, it's like
it's hard to feel sorry for him. He was like, just grow a backbone, my friend.
Because like she says, "I'll leave you if you lose that match," and then they have like the lamest makeout scene ever. Like it's just the most sad.
But like from the very start, he's just always painted as like the really he's got no game. He doesn't have as much game, and he's just like he seems way more pathetic.
I liked him like up until like Zendaya and his friend started dating, and then he really turned into a weasel.
Yeah.
Before, just like okay, like this guy's just like I'm a little more awkward.
I agree. Like when they were the really young, they were all so much fun. I was really into it. But yeah, I think as they got older, they just like. One of them became much more of a scumbag. One of them became much more of a weasel with no spine, and then Zendaya was just like manipulative the whole way through.
No morality whatsoever.
Right? That's what I mean. That's where I'm a bit like, oh, like there's one bit where it's like where he takes her out when he first gets together with her, and they go to like outside the Applebee's or whatever it is, and he's like, well, I really want to kiss you, but like I'm like, oh, come on, mate, you sound like a freaking.
I don't want to be such a bad.
You sound like an 8-year-old.
Yeah, he sounds like, you know, like a guy online who's just
exactly. He's like a weeb. Exactly what he was, basically. Maybe that was the point. That's what.
You know what? He was a bad friend. He was really
bad friend. They were both terrible friends.
Well, you know what? In the other guy's defense, he was a shitty friend after like their friendship was already over. Like,
I guess, but you can't go banging your friend's wife. Like,
but they weren't friends anymore.
It doesn't matter. That's not an excuse, Trevor. Yeah. They kind of were still friends, though. Kind of.
He was trying to be friends with him still.
Right? Like, man. Yeah, that's what I think. The more I think about it, like, that's why I had the hang up. I was just like, I understand that that's the point, but I don't know. I'm just
it did make you feel
F these people.
It did make you feel icky, right? Like like none of none of like the sex scenes ended up being like
Very sexy.
sexy, and like I feel like that was almost like on purpose,
Yeah.
right? Because they're all attractive people, so it should.
I feel like I wanted more of a resolution of that. And I mean, I get you could argue that there was a resolution. That was the whole point of that end scene, like you said. But I don't know. I just think I wanted a bit more of a like have a conversation about it as well.
Right.
Just for my stupid brain, maybe.
But I think they're arguing that like in the tennis match, then they've said all they need to say, right?
True,
So
true.
maybe they each said sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I think that's where my problem is. Like I felt like I wasn't fully satisfied by the ending, but I could not tell you how I would have been satisfied with any ending.
Right.
I just think based off of
Because
the
you don't,
story.
you don't want any of these characters to get what they want.
Yeah, but pretty much, or I don't know. By the end of it, I'm just like,
So where was the ball at that final moment? I'm trying to figure out who won the match.
well,
I know
nobody
they're trying
won,
to say
right?
that it doesn't matter.
That was
right?
I mean, honestly, you say that it's funny, but I think that was a little bit of me. It's like we spent this whole movie going painstakingly set by set on this match, and there's no clear winner at the end, and
Yeah.
that just pains me a little bit. Which is well, like there's
That's
not
the sports
supposed to be there's not supposed to be a winner. That's the point. I get it. It's about the tennis and how
So-
they played. So it was
so
so
y-
great.
You as a soccer fan are complaining that there wasn't like a clear outcome to a game.
Well, the whole thing about tennis is that there has to be a winner. That's the whole point. You play until it's done.
Yeah.
And like they just like stood there and let it go to a tiebreak, and then they played one tiebreak point, which is not how tiebreak works.
Yeah, like it like there's no sudden death in
No,
tennis,
you still
right?
have to, you still have to win by
get
2 clear
advantage,
points.
right? So they kind of reached that perfect moment, and then that was it.
Yeah,
That was
so
it for everybody.
But I mean, at that point,
Because they were playing like a tie-break set, right?
yeah, but I think that was the whole point of it, right? Because it wasn't even a big competition. It didn't even really matter who wins. In reality, it's not like it's the U.S. Open or final of Wimbledon or something. So I feel like it's more about them, right? That's the whole point. It was just about those two guys versus like who actually wins the little trophy at the end.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what was interesting is that the stakes are like they're sort of low, but they're sort of just like everything that either of those guys have ever cared about.
Exactly. So it's really that's why like stuff like that is a really interesting way, and he did a really good job of because they could have made it where it's like for somehow this guy got to the U.S. Open final and they're playing in the U.S. Open, like that would have been the traditional movie.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the underdog friend who's kind of fucked over and took his girlfriend and married her. Oh, and he's now coming that now he's gonna ruin his last chance to get all like to win all the opens and retire. But they didn't go that route. It's like no, they just played in bumfuck nowhere in a tournament that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it's not about that.
Well, he did say like if he won that tournament, then he would qualify for the U.S. Open. So like,
I mean, I guess.
do you think he's got what it takes to win a Grand Slam?
I don't know. They kept saying he was terrible, but he seemed pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I think he's just like has raw talent, but he's just completely undisciplined.
He hasn't got the stamina to do it.
Yeah. So we got about 4 minutes left before we get home. Anything else we need
Any
to?
final thoughts? I don't know. I don't really have anything. I
guess how would you rate the movie overall?
I always find it tough when I feel conflicted about things because my gut instinct is that I would rate it quite high, but like I wouldn't go 5-star. I don't think.
Hey, we do 6.5 on this.
Right?
podcast,
Yeah.
so
I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go. Yeah, I still
I'd
wouldn't
say
go 5. Well, I might go 5.
really?
I might go 5 out of 6.5. I think that'd probably be fair.
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably about 5.5. I'd say
Yeah, I mean it's definitely
like won't be one of my like top tier of the year, but I think it's a really solid movie.
it's really and it's something that you don't see all the time, and it makes you think, and it's really well acted, really well directed. I think.
Do you think people will be disappointed that it's not like as sexy as?
Oh, a lot of people will, yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's the fault of the marketing team, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair to him, when you've got that scene, then you're going to stick it in your trailer, aren't you?
Yeah.
Put it on the.
Well, that's how they got the financing for it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think people might be disappointed. Like I already seen some comments on Reddit about like Like you went to see Zendaya with two guys, and you end up just seeing two guys making out. It's like the best bait and switch ever done.
Oh, so you saw a bit of a spoiler?
I did see that comment. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really just two guys full on making out with
It's
each
like,
other.
oh, you thought this was the bit where you're gonna see some hot CB sexy with Zendaya. It's like, nope, she's just watching two guys make out. Sorry about your luck, guys.
It reminded me there was a short film that I watched this year from Pedro Almodovar, and it had Pedro Pascal and Ethan Hawke in it,
Oh, right, okay.
and it was like a gay western.
Oh, I think I
movie.
did hear about that. Actually.
And there's a scene when like they're younger and they're played by younger actors, but like it's the two guys and they have like three girls and they're in like a wine cellar,
Right.
and they busted like a big casket of wine, and then like all of them are making out with each other, then just the two guys start making out. I'm just like, this is the exact same scene.
They stole it.
Stole it. I guess it's like the same year it came out or whatever, right?
It's the deep impact Armageddon phenomenon. It's like
Two guys end up making out.
yeah, it's like when you're waiting for a bus, you wait so long to see guys making out, and all of a sudden there's two movies that do the same thing.
And now I'm gonna see two guys making out everywhere.
It's like, oh man, I waited so long for this, and now I get it twice. It's like a fun bonus.
Oh, that's hilarious. So, do you think that you'll seek out like some of Guadagnino's other movies?
Yeah, I want to see Chalamet in a peach. You never did tell me what that's about.
Do you want me to tell you now?
No, it's fine. I want the
Do you know-
suspense. I want the suspense to build.
Do you know who plays like his romantic opposite in that movie?
I did know, but I've forgotten.
It's Armie Hammer.
Yes, I did know
So I thankfully watched the movie before
that.
he was canceled. So
Creepy stuff. Yeah.
I don't know if you could go back and watch that movie. Like, and
Yeah.
I already had some problems with that movie because Chalamet's character's like 17 and Armie Hammer's
Right,
like
yes.
28.
Was it based off of any sort of real story or have I got that twisted?
I don't know. I think it might have been like a little semi autobiographical for the
Yes,
director.
that's what I heard. Yes.
But yeah, like that part, and it's the same with like
Yeah, especially when it's Armie Hammer,
yeah.
who's the guy in the questionable role there.
But same with like Licorice Pizza, which came out a couple years ago, which is like the boys 15 there and the girls like 25. I'm like, I don't know, I can't watch this, man. This is weird.
Yeah. Oh, watch the bunny rabbit.
There we go. But I'd say, yeah, definitely something to catch in the theater.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, I'll see. Like I say, I'll see it. The wife wants to see it.
All right, so we got 2 recommendations from us.
There you go.
Everybody.
Big thumbs up.
Yeah.
Six thumbs up.
6.5 thumbs up.
6.5 thumbs up. Through a horrible accident with a tennis racket.
All right, so yeah, I think that's about all we have to say.
Wow.
Check us out on all the socials. Let us know what you think about the podcast. First Look Final Word Pod at gmail.com. Tell your friends, rate us 5 stars,
Tell your
subscribe.
Yeah, spread the word, guys. Spread the word. We appreciate you all.
All right,
Yeah, but until then, I guess that's the final word.
bye.
See ya.